Hello, hello, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Yes, welcome, welcome. We still got the beautiful water sounds going in the background. But welcome to everyone to Conjure Local Hoodoo in the Chesapeake. And I will be your moderator for this evening. My name is Jenne Afiya Matthews. And before we get started, I want all of our panelists to introduce themselves. Love to see all the hearts going in the chat. Hi, y'all. And I will pass it off to Hess and we will get started.
Hey y'all, I was trying to get on my personal Zoom for a second. But hey y'all, my name is Hess. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm originally from Annapolis, Maryland, and my family hails from Maryland, Virginia on my dad's side as well, and then through my mother, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and New York. And I will pass it to Aisha.
Oh, greetings, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being in community with us. My name is Aisha Snead. I am from Baltimore. One line of my family started their story here in Maryland, in Hess's area, actually, Annapolis, and then going a little further to the Eastern Shore, Cambridge. Um, and then the other side of my maternal line started in North Carolina, and they migrated up to Baltimore and Philadelphia. And then my paternal side was North Carolina and South Carolina, and they migrated to Baltimore and New York. And then those that were in New York, my grandparents and father, and some others came back to Baltimore. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll popcorn it to Toya. Uh-oh. Well, did I say did everybody hear me? Okay. I don't know if I sometimes I lose myself. Did I say my name?
Oh yeah,
Did
no,
I
we heard
say
you.
a
We heard
co?
Yeah, Toya, it's
All
on you.
right.
You popcorned it to you.
She can unmute, I think.
I think a host has to unmute her. While that's going, I'm Victoria. Hey, everybody. I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. My people are from South Carolina and Virginia. I will popcorn it to Cherelle.
I think Cherelle might be having the same issue, but I'm unmuted now, so I'm going to talk while we get Cherelle unmuted. Hi, everybody. I am Toya Smith. I am a born and bred Baltimorean and still here. My mother's family, my mother's line is from good old Baltimore. Been here for a hot minute. My mother's father's line is from the Atlanta, Georgia area. On my father's side, my folks are from the exact same small town in South Carolina. And they immigrated up first to Philly and decided that was too far north and turned around and came on back down and settled in Baltimore. So that's how I wound up here on both sides.
Um, I am Cherelle Robertson. My family line is from South Carolina, um, Lynchburg, Virginia. We have people kind of spread about in Maryland. I am a Baltimorean, born and raised. And I guess I think that's everybody for now.
Yeah, I think that's all of us. I'm a little scared to put myself back on mute that I might not be
Me
able to
too.
unmute myself.
I'm gonna just stay unmuted,
Yeah.
y'all, so we can breathe lightly.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you again, all of our guest panelists, our scholars, our experts for introducing themselves. I got so excited. I did not say where my folks are from. I am a Baltimore native, West Baltimore to be specific, and a Great Migration grandbaby through and through, with roots in Dublin and Sparta, Georgia, Kitchell, North Carolina, and Blackstone, Virginia. And I give thanks for them folks because that is the reason why I am here. And so as we move into our Conjure Local panel, I just want to set, and we just want to set some expectations around who the Chesapeake Conjure Society is, the wonderful folks who are, offering this wealth of information to us, and what hoodoo is. So I'll begin with the definition of hoodoo. We will talk about who the Chesapeake Conjure Society is, and then we will hop into the panel. I love that you all have questions and are interacting in the chat. You can keep doing that. But as we hop into the moderation and get started with the questions, we will get through that. And if we have time at the end, we will be able to answer some of your questions. Sound good, folks? All right, amazing. So to absolutely, West Side show is the best side. I know that's right. So to define what hoodoo is, it is an African diasporic tradition of survival, defense, and spiritual medicine, emphasizing it as a sensorial and living practice rooted in the wisdom of our ancestors and the land. And the Chesapeake Conjure Society is a socially and environmentally conscious organization dedicated to the historical research and preservation of the Afro-Chesapeake experience. With a focus on cultural continuation, hoodoo practices, and advocacy for Black community, our work involves studying and practicing hoodoo as a living tradition rooted in the region's history, nature, and spiritual practices, and is dedicated to empowering Black communities. And we so give thanks for this work. So to hop right in with the first question to our panel, when you think about being of a place, not just living in it, what comes up for you? And whoever is so moved can start.
Well, we were just the other day having an interview with a scholar who was talking to us about the Chesapeake Conjure Society and about hoodoo in general. And I got really moved talking to her then, because what I said is, I can go to the cemetery where we're going on All Saints Day, and I can actually put my hand on the grave of my grandmother's great grandfather. Like, I can put my hands, I can dig down in the dirt and say, this is him. Like, his body is mixed with this dirt. So a part of me, a part of what makes me, is literally a part of the land here in Baltimore. I am of this dirt, this air, this water. But not only that, I talked about my grandparents migrating here. This is a place they chose because it felt like it could be home for them. When home was no longer hospitable and they had to move, this is the place that they said, this fits. This feel like home. So I am of this place. I am of Baltimore, specifically of the Chesapeake Bay area more widely, because my ancestors, because my family are in the soil and chose the soil, because they decided to be here, and because there are some who didn't decide to be here, but we here, right? And there's nothing in this area that hasn't been touched by us. So I am not just from here, I am of here. Like, everything that makes me me started here somewhere. So yeah, that I think is what it means to be of a place, like intrinsically mixed up in it. There's no way to separate you from it.
I'll go next because I have a real short answer. This version of me is only possible here. And this version of me is only possible by having been from here. I feel like I would exist, but I would be very different if I grew up in a different part of the country, in a different part of the world. And so, what it means to be of a place is knowing that exactly who I am right now is only possible based off of where I've been and where I'm from and the geographies, which is this area.
Well, I was born and raised here. My family was able to make memories here. Um, I have some people who are no longer here, but I know that each and every one of us and our people touched someone else in this city somehow, some way. And so we are forever here. We live on, whether we are in this form or in not so physical form.
Am I unmuted? I am. Yay, I can talk. Okay, so I also want to add the feeling of being of the Chesapeake and the first generation in my um family, like my immediate family being born in Baltimore. Everyone was born in like South Carolina, Virginia, and then I was born here. But when I think of my family and being of this place and how the Chesapeake was like a place of refuge where she escaped domestic violence. So she ran with her babies to her mother up here. Um, it it really like gets me emotional. Just like I couldn't have been born anywhere else, and the fact that this is the same like earth that she walked, and that her nervous system found refuge and like calm, it just means so much to me.
Okay. I was just unmuted, so I just want to thank you, Hess. A couple things. Recently, we've been having these conversations about space and place. But a AF retreat I was at Saturday, one of the leaders, a spiritualist, we were talking about social location. And that is just to piggyback on what Hess was saying about she could not be who she is had in this life we been born another place. So I agree with Toya with my people being a part of this land, being a part of the soul and the fabric of Maryland and Baltimore. A lot of our people actually arrived to this area first, even before they went further south. And so, for some, it's a belief that they went south and then this area, after our experience, drew them back. It was so much like home or felt like home that they had to come back. But again, to go back to what Hess said, given this life right now and this social location, I could not be who I am, do the work that I do, or be in service as I am had I been born someplace else.
And I so agree. And this really actually flows so beautifully into the next question, which speaks about, being uprooted and rooted here, and how as
Mhm.
folks working in Conjure, like how that duality shows up in your work, or even it maybe is more than duality, multiplicity shows up in your work and informs your work as a hoodoo.
Well,
Anybody want to check
I,
in? Okay.
I'm a mental health clinician, and it's helped me see not just what we would call mental illness. Sometimes there are other things that have been going on, and I've been able to connect with the people that I work with to kind of help them work through some of those things that are happening with them. And the first thing I always tell them, if there's certain gifts or things that is a little, is kind of throwing you off, who do you have contact with your family? I know that everyone I work with, unfortunately they didn't get to grow up with their natural family. But who are those people in your community? Who are those people in your family that may have had those experiences? Um, do you feel comfortable talking to them about those things that may have been going on with them to help give you some guidance? And my running joke is, at the age of 50, ask somebody older. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes we just gotta ask somebody else. But it's kind of helped shape my work and look at all facets of the individual, not just a part.
Okay, I'll jump in. Well as, I might be the proudest Baltimorean that ever walked the streets of West Baltimore.
I might fight you for that title.
I don't know, but no, I've been told I had to be the proudest Baltimorean this person ever met. But no, I do love Baltimore. I love Maryland. Uh, it's an old state, old colonial state. Somebody's throwing their hat in the ring. Okay. Baltimore is an old city. You know, it is still one of the last strongholds in the country as far as being a Black city. Maybe one of the freest places in the country having that history, where there were probably 10 times more Black free people living in Baltimore in 1851 than there were enslaved, but they were living alongside each other. But Baltimore has its challenges that are ingrained into the fabric, its foundation, systemic issues, of course, that were built here because of that history, the history of free Black people. And so, you have some of the oldest laws and conditions created to oppress Black people. It was like it happened here first, and then the rest of the country duplicated it. So, with that being said, in my practice and my love for Baltimore, has actually brought me to my work. My advocacy work is very specific. It is about dismantling some of those systems and protecting Black people, protecting Black land, and protecting Black legacy. And I think it might be another question when we get into what it is to be a hoodoo. And I guess then I'll name maybe it'll make sense. I can tie it into, I guess how all those come to be, I think. Or maybe I should say it now, because to be a hoodoo, you really are a genealogist, a historian, a researcher, an anthropologist. And for us, because we are so connected to the land, an environmentalist. So I'll end there.
About being rooted and uprooted, I think about the movement of my folks that I mentioned a little earlier. And so, hoodoo is a culture-wide practice. It is a regional practice. It is a family practice. It is a personal practice, right? Mm-hmm. So like it's all of those things. And though I'm a Chesapeake Hoodoo, because I'm here, born here, raised here, do my work here, mm-hmm. mine will look a little different from Hess's or from Aisha's or from Cherelle's or whoever's, because most of what I know, or at least most of what my basis is, came from my grandparents who came from South Carolina. And so my hoodoo is heavily influenced by low country hoodoo, and then brought with them, and then they had to adapt to what they found here. And then as I carry it on, I am learning more how to adapt to what is here, um, to work with the spirits of the place, of the land, of the water, of the air, um, to talk to those ancestors who live in this dirt, my personal ancestors, and the broader category of ancestors, um, and to get to know this ecology deep down in my bones, the way my grandparents knew what they were born and raised in. And so my personal practice is different. Um, and I love that. I love that every time I talk to a hoodoo, they doing something a little different than what I'm doing. And it's because of that, because all of us started somewhere, we've moved around, we're learning and growing, and hoodoo is a living tradition. It is something that continues to evolve, continues to change. We continue to add to it. Um, it isn't just what our grandparents and great grands were doing, although that's important to know. Um, but anything that doesn't change dies. So it's growing with us, it's changing with us. Um, and that's part of what I found so fascinating and beautiful about it.
Um, just on that same thought with Toya on like to be rooted and unrooted and how the duality shows up in work, I think for me, it has been becoming like a structural ritualist, meaning like what our ancestors did. These plants that are native to North America and the first invasive plants from Europe, they had to learn those and then create ritual based off of their memory. And so they were becoming structural ritualists. And I think that duality for me encourages me to do the same thing without fear of saying, is it authentic or not? Because what Toya said, like if it's not living, if it's not growing, it dies. But then at the same time, knowing like it's not the same as like I'm gonna throw some ancestor money up there and that's hoodoo. Like, no, that's ain't nobody in my family's no Chinese, you know. But it is to say that okay, you trying to cure a cough, you trying to get money, whatever, you looked around you and saw what you got out from outside. It is to say, like, being a structural ritualist is the same as being a recipe developer, meaning like you can make the same dish a different way, or if you know the cultural strongholds and methods and things like that, you can make something new that's still culturally sound. So I think that duality shows up in like having the bravery to do stuff and to experiment.
I love this because things are really just like flowing into the next, because you all have touched on this a little bit. But when we speak about Baltimore and the Chesapeake being the soul and the soil for this kind of work, what community or infrastructure rather, do you all feel like we still need to build here to solidify and fortify what we've got going on?
Rebuilding it. Not that there aren't other things that we might come to need, but I think that's how the CCS came to be, is that we didn't have the thing that we wanted. We didn't have the
Mhm.
other hoodoos to do stuff with that we wanted. And
Mhm.
we found each other. We built it. And we trying to build it out for y'all. We're trying
Mhm.
to do the same. We're trying to say, here's a thing we've created and we love it. And we want y'all to come be in it with us. We want you to come do this with us. We want you to come learn with us. Um, and no, it isn't just about us wanting to do things together and make friends, although I'm so happy um, that I have been able to be an intricate part of this community and to make these friends. It was only Cherelle that I knew. I've known Cherelle since I was like 13, but everybody
Mhm.
else,
Mhm.
that I was able to make these friends. And I love that but it is also about spiritual community. It's about us saying hoodoo isn't something you learn on Facebook or on TikTok or Instagram, right? Like folks ask us every single day, how do I get started in hoodoo? Meet us at the cemetery. Go out to the water, go out to the trees, sit outside, you know, get to know your area. Come love Baltimore with us. Come love the Chesapeake with us. When we go down and we showing y'all where like these are ports where our people were brought in. Show up. Because we built this for us. We're building it for us. And we can't do it by ourselves. And nothing can be done by ourselves. So really, like, what is it that we need to build to do this work? Community. That's what we need to build to do this work. And so this is like it's always an invitation, but this is hearing it from our lips. This is an invitation to not ask us like, how can we be your apprentice? How can we learn at your feet? Show up where we are and do the stuff with us. That's how you look. You don't have to be in no apprenticeship program. If you show up at the cemetery and I'm pouring libation, I'm gonna pass you a bottle and be like, here, you say this part, right? And that's how you will learn. So yeah, for me, the biggest thing that I thought I needed to do this work was community. And I did something about it.
Yeah, I think that's how we came together. We were showing up to events and we were just showing up in the same space, and then Spirit started making groupings, and honestly Spirit led Hess to put us in a chat.
Did.
And in the beginning we didn't even know how we got there.
I still don't.
we were
I still
just there
don't.
in the chat. And we just continued the work. And so, yes, to piggyback with Toya, and actually, we build community out with other spiritual or spiritualists and priestess. And one of our co-organizers for Juneteenth is here on the call, Sister Ya. But yeah, Mama Rue coined there is no hoodoo without community. So, as much as people do want to learn and be a part of CCS, it is for us, I was saying this earlier, it was a slow burn. We were showing up in space together and we didn't know each other. We just kept showing up. And when we were put in the spirit chat, we still didn't know each other. Cherelle had an avatar name. I didn't know her name was Cherelle for about 2 years. But we kept showing up, and we kept showing up to the pier, and we kept showing up to the graveyard, and we kept doing say her name and whatever else. And we kept showing up to the altar builds. And then we started really intimately showing up for each other. And that is how you build community, and that is how you join us. And just know that it's not a microwaved thing. It won't be fast. Like we proved ourselves. We grew this relationship. Um, and it came with working and starting to trust, and it comes with accountability. But yes, we have everything that we need, and we are building it and trying to expand our community.
I'm gonna add, and we twerked in the trees. Like we shook ass all
And we
night.
twerked in the trees.
We did.
Together. And it's like you're right, like we kept showing up we built relationship not only with each other, but with places. We were building relationship with places too. And like, so there are so many places around Baltimore, around Maryland that has our imprint, and it's like you're loved. I think infrastructurally, like CCS got the hoodoo down in this area. But infrastructurally, what I would love to see built with other people is to like know your medicine path and do that because we need housing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you, every All Saints Day, we learn that we need more counselors, more therapists, more people who are not gonna think that you're crazy because you're hearing voices. We need so
Mhm.
much more of that. If that's your path to do it,
Mhm.
like we need people who are going to protect folks and teach like self-defense. Like we need food growers. Like the infrastructure
Mhm.
that we need is for people to be okay not being the priest or the priestess and being the person who helps keep you alive on the mundane level, even when you don't believe in spirit. We need those people
Yep.
to show up every single day. Because we do that work on a 9 to 5. That's why we tired. But we
Yes.
also need y'all to do the work so we can all do the work together. And then a lot of our events are really like the tip of the iceberg celebrations of we're here again together. And it's work, but it's celebration because the work that we do
Mhm.
infrastructurally is demanded, just like we know that y'all stuff is demanded or following your path is demanded too.
I believe also the organization is a good way to find yourself. Like I never thought I was like graveyard lady, you know. I find peace there. Um, and I always have great concern about the disappearance or the mistreatment of Black cemeteries, abandoned cemeteries. Still a learning process. I thought me and Hess actually went out and found the spot, and I was just so brokenhearted because they had built over it. It was like these people were forgotten, but someone remembered because they did leave offerings. And I didn't think I would be that person, but I find great peace in people's final resting places. And I also learned to give them the respect that they deserve. So it's also, this group's helped you kind of, well, for me, it helped me kind of figure out my niche.
And I just want to say thank you all again for this work. Like it is truly a gift to us all, truly in community. And you all just touched on this as well, talking about that there's so many roads inside hoodoo. The healer, the scholar, the dreamer, the historian. And like I said, you all have spoken about this a little bit, but I would love for you all to expand like where those crossroads, which I know is important in this tradition, like where do you stand at those intersections and how do they inform you in your work?
You may be all of those things at different points. You may have to
Mhm.
heal. You may have to be the scholar. You're not going to be everything for anyone, or you're going to drive yourself like insane.
Yeah, Victoria is absolutely right. You cannot do everything
Mhm.
ever. And that's why Hess said something so important, talking about finding out what your medicine is and offer it to the community. That's what practicing hoodoo in community means. It doesn't mean getting together um, and doing what people think of as spells, right?
Mhm.
Practicing hoodoo in community means who is it that you are supposed to be for our community
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
function in that, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm a hoodoo. I'm not an herbalist. I'm not a farmer, right? I am a storyteller. I'm a tradition
Mhm.
bearer. I am a really good libationist. Uh, I am somebody who is, I think of myself as a door opener. I'm somebody who can point you back towards your traditions. I can take you back to the shrines of your mothers and fathers. I can do that for you. But I'm not a two-headed doctor. I'm
Mhm.
not like I said, I'm not a farmer. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a medic. There's so many things that we need. And there is nothing more sacred about taking care of the spirit than there is about taking care of the body. We need people who are taking care of our bodies. We need people who are taking care of our minds. As
Mhm.
much as we need those who are taking care of our spirits. Everybody is
Mhm.
not going to be a priest. Everybody is not going to be a godparent. Everybody's not
Mhm.
going to be the one standing up in front and making pronouncements. but
Mhm.
whatever you came here to do isn't any less important than the next person's. And so, yeah, that's what we need. My crossroads, as you said, is in being storyteller and tradition carrier. But my most important roles as a hoodoo was granddaughter and mother.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those were my two first and most important ones. I sat at the
Mhm.
feet of my elders and I learned what they had to teach me. And then I gave birth to the next generation and I taught her. Those were my first acts of hoodoo medicine. Those were my first roles. And they don't come with, what we think of as important spiritual titles, but it ain't nothing more important than that. How could I have carried the tradition forward in my family if I hadn't done that? And if I can't carry the tradition in my own family, I can't carry it past my front door. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I want people to stop thinking of ways to become some kind of vaulted title image that they have in
Mhm.
their mind and trying to get there fast. As Aisha said, like this isn't a microwave tradition. Um,
Mhm.
and so, I am not anti-social media because if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have met these folks here. Um,
Mhm.
but also whoever is making pronouncements on TikTok probably heard the word hoodoo 2 years ago. And you are living based on what they told you.
Mhm.
They have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Right?
hoodoo is constant learning. It's not,
It's constant learning.
yes.
Constant.
Constant learning. And I think like finding your roads means experimenting, but don't experiment with the assumption or the arrogance that you're going to come out being every single road, every single title. Like you're not. You're experimenting to find your thing. And so, like, as you experiment, you might learn a little tiny bit of a little piece of root work. A little piece of divination, a little piece of whatever until you find that thing that just gets its hooks on in you. Thinking about like what I'm not a diviner and I'm not a medium. It doesn't mean that I haven't gotten messages before because I have. It doesn't mean that I haven't seen things before because I have. But with me, I'll be so caught up in the situation. A diviner and a medium is a good translator and staying in their body and being able to communicate. For me, I'll be like, oh, did you see that, fam? Or when like everyone else in the graveyard talking about, I see him. I be trying to pretend like I don't see it because if I start talking about it, I'm not going to stop, and we not going to get to the medicine part of it. So, like sometimes what you ain't is not even necessarily you're not capable. I think we're capable of multiple things as hoodoos. It's more so where you're best suited at, and I'm
Mhm.
not best suited seeing or hearing stuff. Like I can, it don't mean I'm best suited to be the person to deliver that to the community because I'm not. Because I'm gonna be with
Mhm.
you watching like, hey. And then we ain't nobody getting help in that situation.
Mhm.
I'm just the one who says, "Did you see him?" And somebody else
Yeah,
says, "Yeah, I saw him." Okay. Yeah,
that was a wild night in
that was a
the
wild night.
cemetery. That was a wild night.
And I'm the person that will go, let me go look somewhere. I just feel like I need to go look over here. Now,
Yes, you
mind you, I'm
did.
not going to be the first one to get killed in the horror movie. I ain't doing that.
The first,
But
the first
I'm like,
one.
I'm curious. Let me go over there. No, I don't see them people. I don't, I'm kind of glad that's not my thing. I don't want to do that. But, I think over time, I think the simplest way I can say this is stop trying hard. Whatever is for you will be for you.
Mhm.
Stop, it's not for everybody to see, it's not for everybody to hear. It's, everybody has their own gifts. And all those gifts are put in place so that you can come together, like in our instance where we end up meeting each other. I wouldn't have thought this would have been something I'd been involved in 10 years ago, but here I am.
Mhm.
Um, those things that are meant for you will show up for you.
Also,
Yeah.
stop looking at what
I
other people can do because you might have something that like soothes your soul, but you looking at what they can do that over here, but like what soothes your soul and like makes you feel fulfilled, like what your purpose in life is. And we need
Mhm.
that. So like Cherelle said, don't force it, don't rush it.
And I understand people's sentiment. I understand at this time it's like a reclamation of this practice. And this is the part, what Cherelle was saying, this is the part where you go inward and it becomes a personal practice to, like Victoria said, listen to the things, well, listen to yourself, your own body, or your own actions, what soothes your soul. I'm a believer that nothing is by happenstance, you know? So even when people approach me, how do I become a hoodoo or get into hoodoo? Not only do I discuss it as being an religion or our ethnogenesis, but and this ties back also into my work, what is soothing to my soul and my purpose. I tell people to first look for that grandmother, your mothers and your fathers that you have yet to know. Like part of this, a big part of this work, and especially because hoodoo belonging to African Americans and coming out of chattel slavery and our um, experiences here on this land, genealogy is really important. So while you may at some point in your walk be all of the things that I named that you find the long list of on the website, at some point as you are connecting to yourself, trying to find your place in the world and your place in hoodoo and your gifts, it may be prudent to try to find those people as much as we want to connect to each other and connect to whomever, what spirit, what deity, you also need to be connecting to your own people. And that's what we mean by lineage. Mhm. I'll say nothing is by happenstance. I'm at this point in my life, I'm in law. My mother was in law. I would not have thought that this would be, my choice at this point as far as a career. But my mother was in law, and maybe somebody before her was in law. But I'm in law. And also my hoodoo practice, I'm a death doula. And I do the death work and legacy work in my 9 to 5. You know how they say if you find something you love or you're passionate about, you will have never worked in a day. Well, I'm not sure about that. I work really hard, and dealing with those people are not easy, but um, I am passionate about it. It does feel like for now, you know, in this life or at this moment in this space, my purpose. And it's not, I'm not the medicine woman either. I can do a good thing, but that's not my path. Mhm.
And my path, actually, I always have been that person that people come and talk to, even if I had headphones on. So, um, my gift is talking to other people, getting them to be comfortable with telling me the uncomfortable. That is a weight to carry and bear if you don't take care of yourself.
Mhm.
Which led me to end up going to school for psychology and social work because that's my gift. Sometimes I wish I could give it away because all I wanted to do was sit with my headphones on and mind my business. But apparently, people don't let you do that. So,
Mhm.
but I'm able to connect with people and get people to talk about things they may have not talked to with others. And my mom was a similar person like that. She could be sitting on a bench on a bus stop, and here comes somebody just having a chat. And so I get that from her. And also, I have this thing about keeping plants alive. I'm pretty good at that. Pretty good at growing some stuff. I talk to my plants and stuff like that. So I see hoodoo in that, being able to touch something and keep it alive and cultivate it, and just having reverence for them, allowing me to take care of them. Yes, I do talk to my plants and my cats. That's what I do.
Listen, I talk to my plants too. I'm trying to see if I can bring one. Hold on, I got a little clip and little cutting right here. Yes, I
Oh,
talk to plants as well. Um, ooh. Y'all just also named, I just gotta say, y'all just named a lot of important work that you all do. Speaking about talk therapy and being death doulas and encouraging us to like be steeped in genealogy. I know that I will share this with folk because I wanna just share a personal aside about you have more information than you think. My mother, Dolores Agnes Teresa White, shout out to the Black Catholics in Baltimore. She was the oldest of 7 children. And she had a coworker who she sat next to, and they just got to chit chatting because my mother is a chit chatter like I am. And come to find out, they were both Black folk. I think she's originally from the Carolinas, and this woman was a hobby genealogist on the side. My mother worked at Social Security. Shout out to all the folks who work out at headquarters in Woodlawn. And through their conversations, this woman was able to come back to my mother and I still have it, on printer paper, it is that old, with a family tree all the way back to 1800 to a woman named Agnes Eaton. And I said my
wow.
mother's full name because the name Agnes made it all the way down to her. From a woman who was born in Halifax County in 1800 and lived to see her children and grandchildren be free. And so I say that to you because you have more information than you think. My mother was just relaying all that she knew as the oldest girl, as sister, who got to meet her great grandparents and grandparents because my grandmother was young when she had her. So she had so much information and she retained so much in her spirit just because she was so deeply moved by all our family story. And I just say that to you and share that with the group because we have more information than we think and we can start somewhere. And that will enrich our practice and deepen our practice and allow us to connect the folk who want to connect to us. Agnes Eaton was reaching out to us. She was reaching out to someone who shared her name, and I'm her daughter. And so now when I pray in the morning, I get to say her name, and what a gift. And so I just wanted to share that with you all and name that before we get into kind of the last portion of what we have here. And this conversation has just been, ooh, I see some eating some Halifax. Okay, we gotta talk. We gotta talk offline because and also I want to name that too. When you start sharing your story, your people start showing up more and more and as well, because a lot of us in this chat we're naming similar places because our folks were a part of similar migratory paths. So a lot of us are neck to neck and shoulder to shoulder with people who our people also want us to know and continue in this work. So I just wanted to name that and thank you for allowing me to name that in the space. And so as we get into this latter portion, I wanted to kind of get into, as we have named that hoodoo is both a faith and a way of being and seeing in the world, what is it asking of us here and now in the Chesapeake, in this region in particular, in the Afro Chesapeake, particularly as we are, we talked about earth and soil and digging in and rooting, and like we're planning to stay. A lot of us are planning to stay. And in that moment, in this moment of what all that is going on and all that is being thrown at us, it is something to really name that we're planning to stay and continue to do this work. And so what does that look like for you all? What strategies, what ways of seeing and moving through the world are you holding on to in that planning to stay part?
Well, earlier, just a couple hours ago, I made a post about preparation. Um, COVID was a mass community event. And so there should have been, preparation happening then that could carry you over till now. And I think I feel for the last some odd years, our ancestors, their bones have just about been jumping out the ground, uh, asking for acknowledgement and to name them and to name them their stories and to carry their stories and to remind us of what we had survived, what our people had survived. And I know Hess has made the point before that not everybody survived, and this is true, but many did. And we are evidence of that. And we are evidence, of what they did to prepare and survive. And so I think that those ancestors that are popping up out of the ground with their stories, that we should be taking heed to them and what we could bring into present and use going in to the future. And I might circle back and right there.
Aisha, I'm gonna hop right behind you because you mentioned getting us to the future and how we need to prepare. And my thoughts have like been like, okay, what did they do? Like center yourself in that, but also I want to come back to being there's so much bleak out there, and I understand it's like too much to even keep up with. Keeping your head straight, literally getting grounded best you can, um, to get your mind right before the day even starts. Don't jump into all of the mess that's going on. Like there's like a practice that you have to maintain every day, um, and grounding yourself before you go out into the chaos. Um, I really have to hop off after this, but like I've been thinking of the future and how much we have to look back to get to the
Mhm.
future and like depend on each other. Um, Take time to slow down where you can and connect with each other. Have those moments of curiosity, like your mom, you mentioned today, like have those moments to connect with each other because that's what we need so much right now to connect with each other um, in the moments that we have. I know everybody's like working themselves to the bone, but like ground yourself, prepare, like Aisha said, and looking back at their practices, it really does like ground me and where
Mhm.
I'm going, like in the future, I'm staying here in the Chesapeake, take care of each other the best we know how. That's just really like something that keeps like coming back to me.
Excuse me. Mhm.
I
You
answer
can write
as
how
well.
we love you, Victoria. I'm sorry.
Love you,
I love
Victoria.
y'all.
Love
Have
you.
a
Um,
good night, everybody.
Good night. Hmm.
that's my answer as well. What Victoria was saying is that so my grandfather passed in September of 2020. Um, May he continue to rest as smoothly and flyly as he walked through this world. Um, I've never met a man more smooth than that dude. They don't make nothing like him no more. But I talked to him when this nonsense started the first go round. Um, I remember very clearly after the Charlottesville Tiki Torch foolishness, talking to him about all of the nonsense, all of the wahala that was going on and that we could foresee coming.
Hmm.
And I had gotten myself all twisted up, I was all upset about it. And he was so serene. And he just he said everything calmly and quietly, which is why we always listened. Um, and he said to me, "This is white people's mess. Let them clean it up." And when I said like what is all, like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Because hardships are coming, you know, they here and they coming. What did y'all do? And he was like, we turned toward each other.
That's it.
We turned toward each other and we took care of each other. We didn't wait for the world to change. We didn't ask other people to do nothing for us. We turned and faced each other and we took care of each other. That's how we did it before, and that's how y'all will do it. And so when I think of like what I need, or what is being asked from me as a hoodoo in this time to get through this time and to get to the future, that's the answer. Like when I said earlier, like I wanted community and I looked around me and I found these people who also wanted community and were looking, and we built a thing together and we are building a thing together. We already knew, right? We saw what was coming. And so we started building a thing like this is going to be a shelter for us. It's going to be a thing that we can hold on to, that we can put our hands around this firm foundation that we're creating with each other. And when the winds come, we going to hold on tight, right? Like that's what I'm rooting myself in now. That's what is being asked of me, is to find y'all and hold on tight. Like look toward each other. There is nothing that we need that we do not have. Whatever we need can be found in the community. It can. It can. This country could not have been built without us because they did not have the tools to build the thing they needed to build. We did. So anything that is necessary, we can do. And I believe so firmly in that, so strongly in that, that it doesn't mean that I don't understand that there are hardships. It doesn't mean that I'm not afraid sometimes. It doesn't mean that I'm not exhausted. But it does mean that I'm never hopeless. I'm never without hope. I am never so discouraged that I can't find my way out of it. Because I do have these people. I have community. I have friends. I have loved ones. I have family. I have people that I need and people who need me. And it gives me really, really firm foundation. And I really think that's where we need to start. That's where we need to start, is looking at each other and being like, here's what I have to offer. And, you know, what do you have? What can we do for one another? You know, it is, don't be selfish. Right? Don't be
Oh, really?
selfish with your time, with your energy, with your resources, with your love, with your friendship. Be generous to one another. That's what we need in this time.
Yeah, you first have to be a friend to find a friend. But yes, we have everything we need, and we even have the blueprint to survive this. Like your grandfather said, turn towards each other. There was a time where we already survived um a fascist regime. We survived, our family survived the Great Depression, but for them it was Jim Crow at the time, and they turned towards each other, and it was a time where we even prospered because we were locked out of their systems, and we turned towards each other and we built with each other. So yes.
I do believe in building also. I think about food, and I know that food insecurity is an issue for a lot of people already, and unfortunately, it's going to get worse. Um, if you are people that network with other people, if you are a person that grows things in their garden, if you're a person who are willing to help teach people how to grow basic things, that is being of service, that is being of community. Before I became an older recluse, I would part of reaching out, part of what I think is hoodoo is with food and cooking. pull out them recipes. Some of them recipes started a conversation. Some of those recipes started a community. Um, Sharing meals with people. I actually saw someone on Facebook talking about, hey, are we willing to now, be careful potluck, but are we able to potluck it? Are we, are we able to gather together? Um, People are, I think, what was I, Buy Nothing Baltimore, they have all types of different versions of it. What is it that you don't need anymore? Every season, I believe that we should be making space for something else. There's something we don't need or something we're not using. Um, Donate it. Also, when I think about food, I think about using food as medicine. Recently, I hadn't felt well, and I was like, yeah, I need to make some fire cider. Ask your elders, ask other older people in the community when they did not have access to decent health care. We probably still don't have access, but that's another conversation. What did they do when they were ill? What helped you get that mucus out of your system? What are some things that you did um, that helped you through when you could not get to a doctor, when you couldn't afford a copay if you didn't have insurance? What are some things that you did? And we also know that there are people in community that are medical people. You have plenty of nurses, we have plenty of physician's assistants, we have plenty of people with skills. What is your skill? People don't see it as hoodoo, but it is. Everything is hoodoo. So those are things that you can do. Get to know the people in your community and see if you can barter services. I mean, we really need to do that. We need to get along.
Definitely.
And no, we don't like everybody, and you don't have to like everybody. But figure out who's in your community and who can do what. If somebody, to be honest, anybody know how to use weaponry, it's a thing. Who's a trainer? Who's the veteran in your community? Some of those people know how to live when they ain't have nothing. Figure out who's around.
Thinking about the question, hoodoo is both a faith and a way of being in the world. What is it asking of us now here in Chesapeake? And I think about a post that we made earlier this month. It's like faith is to be used, and it ain't just to be hoarded. And so faith that, um, yeah, we will be here tomorrow, or at least our descendants, but also faith that you will find, like you will be in community and you will be in survival, even if those things are in flux, like faith that you can become a better community member, faith that you will find your communities. But I think about also particularly was it asking for us here in the Chesapeake. I feel like Hoodoo is asking us to have faith that if we just keep getting blacker and blacker and blacker and blacker, like we're gonna keep finding the medicine. Like I think the Chesapeake Bay wants us to continue being black as hell. And to have faith that, despite how much this world hates loud blackness in your face, blackness, comfortable blackness, mad blackness, happy blackness, sexy blackness, all types of blackness, like we were gonna like it's to be proud in that is going to be something that's going to be so healing, and to not back down, to not, I think, obey and advance, meaning to not try to fold yourself up and be like what Warsan Shire say, less awake, less volatile, less yourself, because like just for the virtue of looking how you look and coming from who you come from, there's an eyeball on you anyway, so you might as well celebrate. And I feel like we need to have faith to keep coming together to celebrate us, and also faith that even when we come together to do joyous rituals, that it is doing something as well. I think that's what right now, because like Aisha said, Baltimore's a black ass city. I just came from Atlanta, and no shade to Atlanta, but I saw the most black people in the airport. I was like, what's happening down here, you know? And it was wild to me because I had been there before in my youth. And I say that because wherever you are as a black person, like we need to black it up. Like I think that's what Hoodoo is asking everywhere. But I know specifically Chesapeake Bay loves that people are learning how black Maryland and Virginia is. And we just gotta keep doing that and keep showing up and being and not hiding away, but being strategic at the same time with when and where we show up and when and where we enter.
To be black as hell and joyful. Hold on to joy.
Hold on, because it is also your birthright. Our birthright right as Black people to be joyous, even in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of all the things. It is a part of, yeah, our inheritance. I think a lot about that, like what our inheritances are, both
Mm-hmm.
physical, that we, the things that we have, the things that we can touch and hold on to, but
Mm-hmm.
also what's what we can't see and how that informs
Mm-hmm.
also this work. And so I know we're about 15 minutes till we close out, but and some of this was touched on in what you all have shared. But can you all each name like a particular story or ritual? And I know the Afro Chesapeake stories of this region are very, very deep. But could you name a story or a ritual that helps you continue to stay rooted here in this land as you work the work?
Mm-hmm.
And it can be your folks or like just, kind of from the overall conjure frame here, either or.
Well, when I think about we probably won't get to that, but when I think about specifically in the Chesapeake region, when I think about womanism and advocacy and building community, I think about Gloria Richardson and her work here and her commitment, her sacrifice in the name of community. Like this area specifically, we are descendants of wild warriors, the ones that they said, don't bring no more. Don't bring no more Igbo, don't bring no more Angolans. And she was upper crust black bourgeois. That's where she came from. And she married and moved to the Eastern Shore, and she was radical. It was her daughter that was in SNCC. And but Miss Richardson was like, no, let's tear this up. But in the name, I don't want to do peaceful protests, but in the name of community, she tempered some of that, and she was able to build, and she was just this indomitable spirit. And so when I think about those stories, we have a lot of those stories. And specifically, like I said, when we think about womanism and African womanism, we have a lot of those strong Black women's stories here. But I think about uh, Gloria Richardson. She's a Cherelle. And yeah, and she was from Baltimore. She married and moved to the Eastern Shore. And I also think about being a West Baltimorean, a West Baltimore guru. I think about it being that place in Baltimore that at times has been long forgotten. And the story of erasure. And so, again, that is a lot of what motivates my work, that erasure and trying to destroy our stories and our communities, and just the stuff that has been held on to, the great stories that come out of it, and the work that's being done. But yeah, that's about it. Mhm.
I think about a ritual that I do is looking around literally where you live, like when you go in and out the house every day, which you see every single day, and to learn the names of the plants that you see. And when you go outside, the first thing you do is greet them. Like, good morning, sweet gum tree, because I have sweet gum. Good morning, maple tree. Good morning, poison ivy. Good morning, rose bush. Good morning, lily turf, even though you ain't no bug on you, ain't doing not a goddamn thing but being here. Good morning, Lily Turf. Like just kind of that stuff. And that becomes a ritual because And then also a ritual is also speaking to your neighbors that you see when you go out your door, because
Mhm.
all these things make up a place. So the people make a place, the plants make a place. When you go out your door to greet and name things, and like the more that you greet and name things, the more the ritual is, the more in place you are, the more you know whose you are and where you're from. And it sounds really mundane, and it is, it's very mundane, but it's kind of the work of repeating, like, and with you, so you know the names of what home sounds like for you, at least for right now, your apartment building, your neighbors, your place. And like the more you repeat it, the more it gets ingrained in you. And like that is place-based hoodoo, is to greet home when you're home.
Mhm.
Greet it continuously. Don't take it for granted.
Mhm. Just to jump, yes, I agree, Hess. You know, the greeting home, this my community. We've owned this home for more than 65 years. And we first owned land in Baltimore almost 100 years ago. And it's my family home. I'm here, and I still have part of community. I still have nearly 90-year-old neighbors who watch me grow, and they still protect me now. They still take care of me, and they look out for my children, and it is very much a part of home and my Baltimore story. And that ritual is going out and speaking to my neighbors and having those conversations with the neighborhood elders, catching up on everything and being the youngest at 50 almost in the community meetings. But yes, yeah.
Ritual is also about home. Um,
Mhm.
the thing that centers me, that grounds me, um, every Sunday, and the folks here will tell you, most people who know me will tell you, I'm like, Sunday is reserved. I don't do anything for anybody or with anybody on Sundays. Um, Sundays are reserved for me and my ancestors, and we in this house. Um, and that is a ritual that was passed down from my grandmother. Um, she was a homemaker, a stay-at-home mom, whatever we want to call her. I called her the community mother, because she's the one who took care of all of the children while other folks, went off to work or whatever. She raised all of the kids in the neighborhood, and she's the one who fed the entire neighborhood. Um, but my grandmother's entire house was an altar. And I remember waking up to the sounds of her every morning, whispering under her breath, because she was reciting prayers and scriptures and meaningful words as she walked around the house before the sun even came up. Like, she would walk all the way around the house, in and out of every room around the house, whispering it under her voice the entire go. Right. And she always every week was doing a floor wash of the house, and she was wiping down the walls, and she was beating the walls, and she was opening up the windows and doors and getting the stagnant air out and the fresh air in. She'd say, you always leave something open, a crack, because there should always be fresh
Mhm.
air circulating throughout your house. Even in the dead of winter, you always leave something open, a little crack. And she always had spaces in the house that were special for different things that I don't tell everybody about, because that's my family hoodoo, right? That's my family lineage. That's our stuff. That's our works. And nobody know it outside of my family. That's the way it's supposed to be. Remember that sometimes, y'all, when we talk about hoodoo being a closed tradition, yes, we mean
Mhm.
hoodoo just belongs to Black people. Hoodoo just belongs to Black people, y'all. If you don't take nothing
Mhm.
else from this, take that. Total
Mhm.
belongs to Black people and just
To
Black
Black
people.
people and
Um,
just Black people.
and just Black people. So it is a closed
Just Black
tradition,
people.
right? But also, there are going to be family lineage specific works that belong to you and yours.
Right.
That should be closed. You shouldn't be spreading that all around the
Mhm.
world. Everybody don't need to know what your grandmother did that kept y'all alive. You need to know that. Um,
Mhm.
and so that's what grounds me. I know what she did, and I continue to do that stuff. And I focus on it. I shut it off. I don't allow other people to infiltrate it. I don't get thrown off of it. I know what I should be doing to take care of myself, to take care of my child, to take care of my house. Um, because yes, this place is home, meaning this building, but also meaning this land. Um, but this is home. This is home. Wherever I go, I take home with me. I am the altar. Wherever I am is the sacred space. And so the grounding practice for me is taking care of myself and my environment, my small place in this world. I take care of it, I fortify it, I cleanse it, and I protect it. And I am serious about that work. I do it without fail. Um, that's where we need to start. You know, folks ask all the time about work-ins and how can I get this man to stay with me? Girl, don't. How can I how can I
Let him
get
go.
this money? How can I that's usually the very first thing I say to them is why do you want to? You ain't told me a thing that sound good about him. Don't. Uh,
Let
that's
him
the
go.
work. That's the work. Cut them off. But the first work she should be doing, you wouldn't go a week without washing your ass, wash your head.
Yep.
You know, cleanse, protect yourself, fortify
Mhm.
yourself spiritually. Um, that's how you stay grounded in the world. You can't take care of me if you haven't taken care of yourself first. Please, all of us, because we do need each other and we're talking about turning towards each other. You ain't going to be there if you don't take care of yourself. I need you to be there. I need to be able to turn and find you. Please take care of yourself first before you do anything for anybody else so that we can be present for each other. You know, we were just talking about D'Angelo, and I'm like, that brother was so young. Like, we deserve to live. We deserve to be here. We got to take care of ourselves and each other.
You know, sometimes I don't know what question I'm answering.
Me either.
Girl, we just be talking.
We went somewhere,
I
but yeah.
answered part of it, but I feel like I don't know what I answered, but I would say yes to piggyback off of what Toya said. Uh yeah, you should be cleansing yourself spiritually, but before you do a love working, you should be protecting your home. Do the floor wash, cleanse your home, protect your home.
And before you do that work, make sure you're loving on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
In that order, y'all. And we was on the prayer line. We started catching the spirit and talking. You know, we was on the prayer line. So we thank y'all because words were had. I cannot wait to listen to this playback, even though I'm here, because so much is coming down. This is such a rich conversation. And I thank each and every one of you for being willing to share your knowledge and your wisdom for Conjure Local Hoodoo in the Chesapeake. And I think we're almost at about time, Hess. But do we have time for one question before we head on out? Oop, I think Hess is muted.
Sure.
Where's she?
No, I was saying, I guess so. If everyone has a little bit of time, like to keep it short, we got a little bit of time to keep it short.
Little
Don't be
bit.
asking us no question that's going to require 6 years of therapy and being in your house and all that stuff. Like, keep it real short, keep it sweet.
Listen, y'all, Hess said what she said, and since I'm joining from the phone, Hess will have to be picking from the chat, or are we having folks?
They can write it in the chat. All right, let's see. Oh, Jordan asked, let me get you to, let me unmute you. Where you at, Jordan? Can you turn your camera on so you can pop up on the screen, please? Because I can't find you in this thing.
Hi, Jordan.
Where they at?
Jordan, but on my screen, Jordan's to the left of me.
Okay,
See.
there we go. Okay. I just
Can y'all
asked.
hear me now?
We sure
Yeah.
can.
I
Yes.
can.
Hi, y'all. I'm gonna keep this brief because I know time is a thing. But my main question, especially with the preparation of All Saints Day, how can we best advocate and honor for the dead, especially for the dead
Uh-oh.
in the forgotten dead? That's probably
Run that back for us because it froze in the middle of your question.
She's muted again. They're muted again, excuse me.
How do you,
no,
there
you're
you
all
go.
good.
Okay, go
My
ahead,
main,
Jordan.
hopefully, okay, Wi-Fi's working now. Good. The question was, how can we best advocate for the forgotten dead?
Show up and speak their names. Part of the tradition, part of all of our traditions are that as long as you are remembered, as long as your name is spoken, as long as your stories are told, you are not dead. And so find out what their names are. Like that is part of the work of reclaiming these spaces where they are building over or ignoring the areas where our beloved dead live. Um, if you can do the work of finding out names, um, and speaking those names, showing up. And literally, you don't have to do anything. It's not anything deep. It's not anything long-winded. Show up with a bottle of water and speak names. Pour water, speak names. Um, and start there. Like, put their names back out into the universe, speak their names on the air. That's where we start with advocating for them.
Mhm. I would like to say, as a deaf doula, and I'll say as a spiritualist, I have moved so much in the material. So part of All Saints Day is honoring those named and unnamed. So we're showing up to space and we're honoring it by making sure that it is in good condition. We're cleaning it up. When the cemetery is not together, we are advocating for it. We're finding out how we could assist with the upkeep of the cemetery or advocating for whatever bureaucracy is funding it or taking care of it. And then you have that spiritual aspect where, yes, you can come and you can find out their names. And an important cemetery like Mount Auburn, they have histories, right? So you can learn about those histories and decide who you want to honor specifically. And then you have organizations that protect cemeteries. And if you are interested, you could be involved in that work and making sure that our beloved dead are not being paved over, for a strip mall. So there's work in every avenue from the spiritual to the material.
Definitely. And gonna add to um in heritage work around the state, there are so many times where the name has been collapsed due to lack of record keeping, due to just racism and due to families not wanting to talk about stuff. And so some people's names were erased because they didn't even want to talk about the person because then they have to talk about what happened to them. And so in those instances where you tried your hardest and you still can't find no names, but try to find those names. Elevate the
Mhm.
story of the place. Elevate the story of the place. There's places like Catoctin where we know there was over 200 people enslaved and we only got like a dozen or so names. There's places like the Crownsville Hospital where, child, they got hundreds. And some people might only know the names of people they know died there, whatever. Elevate the story and the more, and keep going there and doing ritual there. And protect yourself because some folks are as they were dead, as they were alive, right? But elevating that history and sharing it is ritual. It is work. And if you like research, do that. Keep telling people about that story. And the more you get deep into the research of the place and go visit it, you'll sometimes find that you're visited by people and you might learn names. And it might be speculative at best to you, but say it. One thing, there's a archivist archivist and creator in Baltimore named Mac River, Mackenzie River, really dope person. And one thing they did with Catoctin was they created like fictionalized stories based off of what they learned about people. You know, it could be part fiction, it could be part channeling, whatever you want to call it. And that too is giving some meat to these stories. And even if you're like, yes, I'm writing a fiction story, I'm writing a poem, I'm making a painting, just elevate that story. That's a part of also honoring the unnamed dead. You know, find multiple ways to find their names or to give them words around who they were.
We have time for one more question, Hess, before we head out. Thank you so much, Jordan, for that question. We appreciate you.
How y'all feeling? I got time for one more question. I'm about to put the Chesapeake Bay video on and play Another Life by D'Angelo. So
My favorite song.
so I guess if someone has a short question and we mean it, a short question, Jordan was an excellent example of a short question. Please raise your hand and we can ask you to unmute.
I thought I saw.
Is there a hand raised? If you email us later, it's going to be lost in the queue of people who don't read the website and ask us stuff that's on the website. It's going to be deep in the queue, so you might as well ask
Okay,
now.
I see Lindsay has a hand up and Queen D, they
All
both
right.
have a hand up.
Lindsay, I just asked you to unmute. It should. There we go.
Oh, thank you so much for this offering. I'm actually going to be traveling, and I'm interested in figuring out how can I honor, especially during All Saints Day, when you're in spots that aren't your spaces, but still, it's still a history of enslavement. I'll be in Greensboro, but I'm not from there. So yeah.
You don't have to be from there. If you're going to be in Greensboro and you want to do honor on All Saints Day, look up a Black cemetery in Greensboro and go. You don't have to be from there. The folks are still there. Our ancestors are still there. And so take yourself something white to put on your head and a bottle of water and go to the Black cemetery. Read those names on those graves. If you see trash around, pick it up, throw it away, pour a libation, tell them I'm just here to give you some love and do you some honor on this day. It doesn't have to be big or fancy. Give them your love, give them your time, give them your energy. Tell them I couldn't let this day pass. I had to come see you. I had to be with y'all on this day. That's good. That's it. It's not, you don't have to be from the place to care about the ancestors of the place.
Being that it's Greensboro, I would think that if you don't readily find something named as a Black cemetery, maybe if you find a Black church, dirt road church, they'll have a cemetery generally. And like Toya said, you don't have to be from a place to honor it and go there and, cover your head, ask for permission to enter, leave your 9 pennies, and make it enough. Do some work.
Make it enough. Ain't that right?
Make it enough.
Ain't that right? And I see in the chat, Lindsay, if you look in, folks are offering community and they're saying, if you can get to me, let's go do this thing together. So yeah, even being here right now, if you just extend yourself, you'll find somebody to meet you.
Queen D, we're gonna let you slide up in there like the Tin Man, slide some oil to him. We'll let you slide up in this joint as the last question.
I so appreciate that because honestly, I'm so glad that she asked that last one because mine kind of hits on the same thing, but maybe a little step further because My family and we recently just moved overseas, and we are living in Panama right now. And I've been a hoodoo for quite some time now, but I'm finding that my life as a spiritist and spiritualist and the gifts that I have has actually grown here. But I feel like my hoodoo has taken a little bit of a backseat. You know, it's taken a little bit of a hit. And that's mainly because I don't feel, that connection to the land here with my people here. Don't get me wrong, of course, with Panama being the Afro-Panamanians here, there are Black people, but it is not Black Americans, So I just wanted to get you guys' opinions on maybe a couple of things that I can do to maybe kind of stay grounded in that and, honor the hoodoo side of myself a little bit more while I'm here.
Well, your social location has changed, but not your people. So, maybe this is the point in time where you are focusing on your ancestral practices. The land is different, your social location is different. But like I say, your people aren't. So if they were African American, Black American, then you still would want to be pulling on them and doing things to honor them. Anybody else?
I wanted to say, I'm looking in the chat and I'm like, nah, all these people in here who are like, what should we do if we in Baltimore? Anybody else in Baltimore? I'm like, we started this thing
Saw
by
that.
saying how many of us is Baltimoreans? We started this thing saying Chesapeake Conjure
What's
Society
that?
is headquartered here in Baltimore. We've been talking for the last hour and a half about Baltimore and all the stuff that we do right here in Baltimore. The first thing you hear about the Chesapeake Conjure Society is our All Saints Day observation every year in Mount Auburn, in Baltimore.
In
Y'all should know.
Baltimore. Listen,
Right
Question.
off
but
95.
also, Queen D, if you feel so compelled, I'm sure there is sacred land there, a cemetery, or just a space, a historical space. Because sometimes that's just where our bodies fell. That's depending even on the history of the area that you are in Panama. There may be some uh part, like a lot of the Afro-Caribbean, they have the forts where we were there before we were brought into the new world. So even if you are going there and pouring libations, if it has to be about a space.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Queen D. I was talking about the chat where
No,
folks
I
were
know,
like,
I saw
who
that.
are
I
the
was just
Baltimoreans? I'm
going
like,
back
y'all,
to her.
we the
I was just
Baltimoreans.
going back to her. No,
But
I
yeah,
saw all that and I was like, is this real? Are they playing?
Gerard, we will definitely satellite for y'all to make this smooth transition right on back here. Um and yeah, we love we love all of y'all who are here in the Baltimore area. If you are here in Maryland and you can get to us, if you're in the Chesapeake area, if you can get to us, please come and be with us on All Saints Day. Please come be with us. Meet us
Mhm.
in the flesh. Um, and so yeah, just be here and create community with us. All of y'all in your silos. If you see other people in the chat who are like, I'm from DC, y'all connect with one another. Start creating this community. Create it in y'all's pockets. Get to know one another
Mhm.
offline. Offline. Get to know one
Offline.
another in the flesh, and be able to do work together. Yeah.
Queen
want
D, did you see what Osana said about a community in Panama? Not sure if would be in your same area. Oh, Mhm.
Oh, you have to unmute. Okay. It just automatically mutes. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Queen. It's gonna take us a couple seconds for it to come through. There you go.
Yes, I see it. I believe I am familiar with that area. I've only been here for like a month and a half, but I think that's in the
Mhm.
city, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I recently did go to a community event here, Afro Panamanian one, and there was an Iya that was there that was really happy to meet a hoodoo. And so she kind of did plug me in also to be the person to speak with the Black expats here who are not familiar with hoodoo or don't know which way to turn, for a lot of the community events. So I guess in a way, that's another way that I'm doing my part here.
Yeah, you can create community.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get
Thank
your
you,
Zora
guys.
hat on. Yeah, get your Zora hat on. Go there as a cultural exchange.
Mhm.
Well, not only expats, but like learn what Black folks are doing in Panama and write it down. Read Tell My Horse by Zora Neale Hurston to see how she, as a hoodoo practitioner, was witnessing what was going on in Jamaica and Haiti. Like this is
Mhm.
an adventure for you and you get to connect with Black folks. As
Yes, I
well.
should.
Really quick, Jessica, before you go, before you answer, I want to tell y'all, love you dearly. A lot of work has been put into that website. Y'all, please read it. Events page is updated. It has the date, times, and location. The resources
Mhm.
page, what is Hoodoo, has so much. I promise, if you go through all of the stuff that's on them links on the what, you shouldn't ask us a question for 6 months. Promise. Yes, more than enough. The digital altar. If you go to the homepage, there's random links you'll find the All Saints Day guide and a whole bunch of stuff. Please, please, please become friends with that website because it is a accumulation of so many frequently asked questions. We promise somebody to ask what you didn't ask before. Everything from mental health to, where the real niggas at, what newspapers they reading is on there. It is on there. So please be good friends with it. And like I promise, it should take you months to go through all of the resources once you click on it, and the books and the podcasts and the videos and all that stuff, and the events and the past events and all that stuff. All right, I'm gonna pause. And Jessica, you're gonna be our last question for the night.
So now you saying all that make me want to back up into the bushes like Homer Simpson before I ask my question. But hopefully this is a quick one. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for sharing this with all of us. It's been really impactful and valuable on multiple levels. I just wanted to ask a quick little question. Every now and then I feel weird about referring to my ancestors as dead people because they clearly are not, all the way dead in the way that it's like dead and gone and silent and, ain't moving and doing nothing. I was just kind of curious, if y'all have takes on, I know we've been referring to dead folks so often, and sometimes it just feels odd to me, or, not wanting to be disrespectful to them in that way, even though there is obviously a definition of dead and death that they would, they can check that box. But just wanted to hear from you.
Just ain't gotta call them dead. You just ain't gotta call them that. I mean, you can call them your ancestors, but you don't have to call them my dead folk. You don't have to refer to them that way if it don't sit right um in your spirit, or it don't rest in your chest. You ain't got to call them that specifically.
Mhm.
Um, I do love to use the term "my beloved dead," but
Mhm.
that ain't gonna work for everybody,
No.
so you use whatever feels right to you, and that will change. It'll morph and change. I have a different relationship to death and the dead now, um after long years of being a hoodoo practitioner, after spending hours and hours and hours in cemeteries, after being with people as they die. um so I have a different connection to it now. And I love to say that. Like, I love to talk about my beloved dead, but you have to use the language that feels good, that feels right, for your people.
Yeah, I use dead, death, and ancestors when speaking of our at large ancestors and community and my exact lineage. But being a death doula, there is a problem with how we approach death, what we think about death. And it's not, specifically just germane to Black people, but it does come out of Western thought and, westernized Euro thought. And so connecting to some of our indigenous practices in Africa and even here, we had a different relationship with death, and not holding to that or not being able to face it has really helped to pour gas on some of the issues that we have, including, not just loss of our dearly departed, but loss of any and everything material. And so, so much of my purpose is to get people to confront that and to deal with that and make decisions based on that. So I use dead and death a lot because none of us are going to get out of this thing alive, you know? And hopefully you have lived a life uh, good enough for somebody to call your name. Everybody's name isn't called.
That's true.
Everybody has not lived a life worthy of being called. And so live your life. If you want to be called the ancestor or be revered or elevated, live your life with the goal, the knowing of wanting to be a good ancestor.
Some of these folks just dead.
Some of them just did. You
Some of
hate
these
to say
folks
it like that,
just
but some
dead.
of them just did.
Everybody who died ain't an ancestor. Some of
Ain't
these
an
folks just
ancestor.
dead.
And you don't want to call on everybody, So, yeah, say what feels good to you. But none of us are going to make it out of here alive, and you have to live your life accordingly to be considered a good ancestor for somebody to call your name. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say if it's feeling like to decipher between whether it's like the word dead bothers you or if you feel like you're trying to reach particular people who are confused or don't know or whatever, and that's a whole different thing. But I would say if it's just you, to what Aisha and Toya said, it's reworking the relationship with death and the word death, and until you're comfortable, it's just naming those who came before me and those who will come after me, for they're probably waiting in the same place, and that's it. And until you work with it, looking up and befriending the cosmogram, the counterclockwise circle will be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. I think that is it for the evening. Thank you again to our panelists for just truly pouring into us and enriching us. Like I said, I cannot wait for the playback because we didn't learn some things and some things have been said on today, to quote my folks. So without further ado, we will be closing out, and we do hope we see each of you or many of you. I know some of y'all coming from far at All Saints Day on November 1st at Mount Auburn Cemetery from 4 to 7, correct, Hess?
Yes.
Yes. I will be there I will share the original name for Mount Auburn was City of the Dead for Colored People. And I sit with that information a lot. So that's where we will be on the 1st, and we give thanks. All right, y'all. Good night.
You give thanks.
Be easy.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.